Hello friends, and welcome to a brand new camera comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S24 FE against the Samsung Galaxy A55. Right now we are recording at 4K at 30 frames per second. Tell me in the comment section below which one do you think has better colors and which one has a better audio.
As always, we'll start by showcasing a set of sample photos taken with their main cameras. If you've been following the channel for a while, you're probably already familiar with our testing method. But for those who are new here, let me briefly explain how we conduct these tests. Each daylight photo is captured in auto mode, without any post-editing, and the scene optimizer is turned on for both devices to maintain consistency across the board. In general, these two phones offer a somewhat similar approach to image processing, which makes sense as both are produced by Samsung. However, there are a few notable distinctions that set them apart, and I'll dive into those for you. One key point is that the S24 FE typically produces brighter images in shadowed areas, while the A55 tends to deliver slightly darker results. Interestingly, there were instances, like in this particular example, where the more affordable device actually represents the scene more accurately to how it appeared in real life. The S24 FE, on the other hand, offers a brighter and more vivid image, though at the expense of a somewhat less natural look. When it comes to capturing greenery, I personally lean toward the newer S24 FE. The image from this device looks notably cleaner when compared to the A55, which, although offering more lifelike colors, doesn't quite match the visual appeal of the S24 FE. On the whole, I would say that both phones perform great with their main cameras in daylight. The A55 doesn't lag behind when it comes to daytime photography, and in some samples, it even manages to surpass the S24 FE's results. Both phones are equipped with ultra-wide cameras, and, just like their main lenses, they perform quite similarly to each other. To be completely honest, I didn't expect the A55 to deliver results at this level of quality. It's impressive to see how well it holds up against the more expensive S24 FE. In some instances, such as this sample, I initially couldn't detect any difference between the two photos. Both devices capture vibrant colors and manage to retain an excellent dynamic range. Nevertheless, after a more careful look, I noticed a subtle difference. Specifically, the sky appears slightly more saturated in the S24 FE's image. But beyond that, they are very much alike. Given that the S24 FE comes equipped with a flagship processor and camera system, it's no surprise that in more challenging scenarios, it pulls ahead slightly. For example, in this tougher shot, the S24 FE's image looks more vibrant, while the picture taken with the A55 shows a purple hue, which I find quite unappealing. It's important to point out that this situation is more of an exception rather than the norm. In most of the samples I captured, the results from both phones were strikingly similar. Interestingly, when it comes to capturing greenery, I find myself preferring the A55. Its colors are slightly more muted, which results in a more natural look compared to the S24 FE. On the flip side, the S24 FE stands out when it comes to handling shadow areas. In shots like this one, it does a much better job of highlighting the darker sections of the image. The A55 isn't bad by any means, but it doesn't quite reach the level of the S24 FE's performance. When we zoom into 2x, we can observe that both phones still maintain a high level of detail. However, upon closer inspection, it becomes evident that the S24 FE is slightly sharper in comparison. Additionally, there is a noticeable difference in color tone between the two devices. At the 3x, the S24 FE switches to its dedicated telephoto sensor, while the A55 continues using digital zoom. This is where we start to see a more significant disparity. The S24 FE shows details, whereas the more affordable A55 begins to lose them. If we push the zoom all the way to 10x, the differences become even more pronounced. The S24 FE remains considerably sharper, allowing viewers to still comprehend the details within the image. In stark contrast, the A55 produces a softer image, which is not surprising given that it lacks a dedicated telephoto camera. In another sample at the 2x, both phones continue to deliver impressive results. The sky appears vibrant, and all elements in their pictures remain sharp and well-defined. When we go at 3x, the S24 FE continues to impress with its results, while the A55 begins to lag behind. However, it's worth noting that the difference is not that big. I'm genuinely impressed by how well the more economical device handles architectural subjects, although its performance with greenery leaves something to be desired. The third camera on the A55 features a dedicated macro lens, whereas the S24 FE lacks a macro mode entirely. As a result, this is the closest I could get to capturing a picture with the S24 FE without losing focus. Unsurprisingly, the A55 produces a noticeably better image in this instance. If we use the telephoto sensor on the S24 FE, we can achieve a better image compared to before. While the A55 still has the edge in terms of quality, the image from the S24 FE certainly doesn't look bad at all. When it comes to capturing portraits with their main cameras, I believe the S24 FE performs significantly better. While I appear quite similar in photos taken with both phones, the blur effect in the image on the left, captured by the S24 FE, looks much more natural and aesthetically pleasing. Additionally, the S24 FE is capable of taking portraits using its telephoto camera, whereas, as mentioned earlier, the A55 lacks a telephoto option entirely. The portrait taken with the S24 FE looks fantastic, providing a fresh perspective that simply isn't available on the A55. In terms of color reproduction, I prefer the S24 FE's images for portraits. Its pictures display more contrast and vibrancy, while the A55, although brighter, doesn't quite reach the level of liveliness seen in the S24 FE's outputs. This contrast gives the S24 FE a distinct advantage in portrait photography. When using the front cameras, the S24 FE outperforms the A55 in terms of skin tone accuracy, even though it isn't completely perfect. In contrast, the A55 does a good job of preserving all my facial details. However, the representation of my skin color is significantly off from how I actually look in real life. In the next sample, the S24 FE again demonstrates its superiority, as the picture taken by the A55 has a cooler tone that I find quite unappealing. Both phones shine in capturing detail, but when it comes to color reproduction, I definitely prefer the warmer tones produced by the S24 FE. This distinction makes a noticeable difference in the overall quality of selfies. A portion of this video has been sponsored by Edifier. The Edifier W240TN are an impressive choice for those seeking affordable wireless earbuds with premium features. These earbuds shine with their active noise cancellation, making them a go-to option for isolating yourself from noisy environments. With dual drivers, the sound quality is superb, offering deep bass and crisp highs. Battery life is a strong point here as well, with up to 7 hours of playback on a single charge with ANC on, and a total of 25 hours with the charging case. Plus, the quick charge gives you an extra 2 hours of playtime in just 10 minutes. Now, let's talk about the G2BT gaming headphones, designed for gamers who value performance and style. These headphones feature 40mm drivers, delivering powerful sound with rich bass, and they come with 40 milliseconds low latency mode, ensuring you stay in sync with the action during fast-paced games. You won't have to worry about running out of power, thanks to the 36-hour battery life. Comfort is also a priority with soft ear pads and a lightweight build, allowing for extended gaming sessions. Big thanks to Edifier for providing these incredible headphones. If you're interested, be sure to check out the link in the description. When recording videos with their main cameras, it's clear that the greenery appears brighter on the Galaxy A55, while the S24 FE shows more contrast. Both phones feature OIS with their main cameras, so their footage remains very steady. Personally, I prefer the video quality of the A55 because of its brighter and more vivid colors. When using their ultra-wide cameras, it's surprising to see the A55 performing better in shadow areas. Meanwhile, the S24 FE has livelier and more vibrant colors. The A55 is almost as good, and to be honest, I didn't expect it to perform this well. In fact, in some samples, the A55 even exceeds the quality of the S24 FE, which is quite impressive for a mid-range phone. The story changes when we zoom in and record at 3x. The S24 FE stays sharp thanks to its telephoto camera, while the A55 doesn't perform as well. This is quite different from what we saw in photos, where the A55 was able to keep up with, or even come close to, the S24 FE. The lack of a telephoto sensor really affects its zoom performance in video. Shifting our focus to low light, it's important to note that all the pictures from this point onward are taken with night mode enabled in automatic seconds. In this first sample, when compared to daylight photos, both devices experience a noticeable decrease in quality, and some of my facial details have unfortunately been lost. Nevertheless, the S24 FE still manages to showcase slightly better color accuracy. In the next sample, the A55 takes a more significant hit in quality. Its image is overall darker, and my hair appears somewhat disheveled, while the background lights are overexposed to a greater extent than in the S24 FE's photo. Although the S24 FE isn't performing exceptionally well either, it does show a marked improvement over the A55. In this sample taken with their main cameras, I was genuinely surprised to find that the A55 actually performs better. While the S24 FE is undoubtedly impressive, the A55 stands out as being sharper and brighter without risking overexposure. The Galaxy S24 FE, as a flagship device, demonstrates remarkable consistency in almost every shot. For instance, in this example, it maintains the same color tone as observed previously. Conversely, although the A55 delivers solid results for a mid-range device, it has a purple hue that detracts from the overall quality of the image. In settings with plenty light sources, the A55 manages to hold its own against its more expensive counterpart. In this instance, both phones shine by producing sharp images, with all light elements perfectly preserved. In scenarios where the light sources begin to diminish, the A55 experiences a more significant drop in quality. This outcome is expected, given that the S24 FE is equipped with a flagship processor and a superior camera on paper. Nevertheless, I must commend the A55 for putting up a praiseworthy fight in challenging conditions. When looking at the ultra-wide cameras, it's clear that both lose quality, but the A55 tends to drop a bit more. In this case, its image doesn't look as clean as that of the S24 FE. In tough lighting situations where there's not much light, the S24 FE does a great job of keeping details and the original colors of the scene. The A55 still performs well for a mid-range phone, but it doesn't keep up with the S24 FE. On the other hand, in places with lots of light, the A55 looks just as good as the newer S24 FE. In this sample, both phones are bright and detailed, so there isn't a clear winner here. Ultimately, it all comes down to consistency, which is something the A55 struggles with, as seen in this sample. The S24 FE produces sharp images without noise, while the picture taken with the A55 has much more noise and some important details have been lost. When zooming in at 2x, both devices produce sharp images that are almost indistinguishable from each other. At 3x, the A55 loses quite a bit of detail, while the S24 FE looks much sharper because it switches to its telephoto sensor. At 10x, both phones rely on digital zoom, and neither picture is really usable at this level. Still, the S24 FE appears a bit better because it zooms in digitally from 3x instead of starting from 1x like the A55 does. Once again, at 2x, both phones perform well, but I think the S24 FE looks superior because it is a bit sharper and does a better job of preserving the lights in the image. At 3x, the difference is much more noticeable, with the S24 FE remaining sharp while the A55 loses a lot of detail. This clearly shows that having a telephoto sensor is essential, and I hope Samsung includes this feature in the next model, the A56. Just like in daylight, portraits taken at night are better refined on the Galaxy S24 FE, where my face appears brighter and sharper. The background blur also looks more pleasing in the picture on the left. When we take a portrait using the telephoto sensor of the S24 FE, we can see that the perspective is much better than with the A55. The edge detection around my hair, however, isn't the best on the S24 FE. In contrast, the picture captured with the A55 is noticeably darker and doesn't look as good. So, what do you all think? Personally, I believe that in daylight, both phones perform fantastically well, and the A55 is very close to the S24 FE in quality. However, the differences are more pronounced in favor of the S24 FE when it comes to night photography, especially regarding zoom and ultra-wide shots. On the other hand, the A55 is more affordable and offers great value for the money. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching, and for more content like this, please subscribe to our channel.